FreeDraw is a Roblox drawing game with over 300 million visits owned by somebody called Reselim, also known as Nicole. It's a super basic game that pretty much just solely serves as a blank canvas for you and other players to draw on, and nothing more. Despite its simplicity, it and its owner have recently come under fire for being involved in one of the most insanely inexcusable game moderation incidents in Roblox history. We're gonna go over the basics on what happened so we can all know how to not handle a game and how surrounding yourselves with weird stuff can twist your mind. I found out about this situation via a great video by Fooly Gruely that I highly suggest you watch once we're done for a more in-depth coverage from a Roblox drawing YouTuber. The issues begin with the owner Reselim, aka Nicole's, decision to make every ban appealable, bans less harsh, and to be more empathetic. The plan appeared to be to get rid of permanent bans completely, no matter how severe the violating user's actions may be, and to have less strict moderation. Now, not all games have permabans, and not all need it, so it's not entirely out of the question for something like this to happen in the Roblox sphere. Unfortunately, this is a Roblox drawing game we're talking about, so with any freeform content games on this platform, there will be some bad artists, as we all know. Many cases of people drawing inappropriate stuff, whether it be things that are racist or degenerate, and Mr. Obvious types playing have been reported in FreeDraw. So when Reselim announced the removal of perm bans to her mods, they obviously were concerned and raised several valid questions. One mod said NSFW content should be moderated strictly, and that it didn't feel morally right giving it equal or less punishment than a daily scribbling offender. Reselim responded by saying she didn't agree, and that if someone is drawing unmistakable NSFW content, they can be banned for a year. FreeDraw's owner doesn't think her mod should be strict on NSFW content or be harsher on it than they are on scribbling, and I have some ideas as to why that we'll discuss later. Reselim would be given specific examples of extreme violations, yet still argued in favor of 1-year bans because 1 year is enough time for someone to turn their life around. When asked about making bans of Mr. Obvious types appealable, Reselim basically argued in favor of potentially allowing them back because everyone can change. Even with a specific case involving a former FreeDraw mod who allegedly went after minors, Reselim still argued that anyone can change. If a predator were to appeal their ban, she would hear them out to make sure they wouldn't be a risk to their community anymore before potentially unbanning them. She also stated she would forgive people for liking children or putting them in danger if those people were to seek therapy and commit to being a better person. Her willingness to listen and consider what a predator has to say is concerning on its own, and to float out the possibility they could be unbanned is even more alarming. It gets worse as another mod threatened to quit if they weren't allowed to perm-ban NSFW stuff, which she responded to with, "The policy will change whether you like it or not." When the mod quit, she said they need to be more empathetic and that there is no bad person, only bad decisions. Reselim's mindset here is very dangerous because it gives their worst players, including degens and predators, another chance to re-enter FreeDraw. Being empathetic and accepting change is a fair thing to do, but only to an extent, and shouldn't be practiced with those who endanger and expose kids to really bad stuff. Predators tend to be manipulators who slither their way into being trusted, and the damage their victims suffer won't be reversed by the predator changing. This reminds me of the Phantom Force's Juke situation, where Juke, someone who chatted up a kid, was allowed to stick around because PF devs and him talked it out. Apparently, PF devs presumed Juke had learned his lesson after he wished to start anew, so they let him stay, only for Juke to meet up with a minor IRL and get arrested. Letting presumably reformed predators return opens up the possibility of them preying on your game's vulnerable players again. Letting degens return also opens up the possibility of them drawing NSFW content that can be easily seen by children in your game again too. Those types rarely change, and even if they do not deserve a second chance because of how serious their previous actions were. Reselim has to think of the people these weirdos impacted too, because do you think they'd be okay with predators and degens being allowed back in? Unfortunately, it appears that her policies have been enacted, resulting in past moderation actions being altered or undone. Reselim was seen deleting moderation actions taken against several users, including those marked as Do Not Unban for drawing NSFW content. Another individual we'll be talking about, JazzPup aka Jasper and Reselim's girlfriend, is now an admin and the only one handling tickets and appeals, according to this doc. She was seen changing a ban for drawing NSFW content that had photo evidence of graphic art with it from a permanent ban to 1 month. She was also seen giving the same ban lengths of 1 month to crude inappropriate art and scribbling, while giving scribbling on an alt a 98-year ban. There is an extreme issue with moderation priorities here, as they deem scribbling over someone else's art equal to drawing detailed human body parts. You're telling me what you're seeing on the screen now is equal to exposing children to stuff they shouldn't be seeing anywhere? The doc outlined a test of the new policies where fake reports were made on fake alts, claiming it was a previously banned offender returning on an alt to do bad stuff. The test results claim bans from 1 month to 1 year were handed out for inappropriate art and 2 years for kid art made by reoffenders on alt accounts. The same tests allegedly yielded a 98-year ban for hate speech on an alt, and while I don't know what that hate speech was, they all probably deserve permanent bans. JazzPup and Reselim's moderation priorities seem to be very misguided, with things like scribbling getting 98 years and extreme inappropriate art getting 1. Unfortunately, it's totally possible none of the bans even matter, because it appears that almost all appeals are being accepted at a very fast rate. When RHS removed moderation and undid bans, it saw a massive influx of inappropriate content, and that is most likely what'll happen here if it isn't happening already. Once again, this moderation decision gives weirdos more opportunity to expose inappropriate content to and prey on FreeDraw's young and vulnerable players. They're only making it easier for dangerous users to return, and seemingly every appeal being accepted would only increase that even more. It really makes you wonder why they're so lenient on NSFW content and predators, and well, I have an idea as to why. Reselim and JazzPup are apparently in a relationship and live together, so they're in close quarters, which is very important here. So Reselim's lenience and openness to forgive predators is strange for sure, but one thing that caught my attention was the appearance of a former Roblox YouTuber. Apparently she and Kaneko Kitten are still good friends and talk to each other, which is slightly concerning given what Kaneko Kitten did. Despite Kaneko admitting to everything in Narpy's video, which included illegal actions, and all the other allegations made against him, Reselim still chooses to be his friend. She also thinks Kaneko Kitten's cancellation was BS, despite, again, Kaneko admitting to everything in Narpy's video and the other allegations made against him. Maybe her friendship with Kaneko skewed her mindset on weirdos and how they can supposedly change, or Kaneko manipulated her into believing they're not as bad. There's a clear lack of understanding of what's right and what's wrong from Reselim that's hard to pinpoint, but there is another possibility we'll get to here in a second. Now, when it comes to the leniency on NSFW content, that's a whole lot easier to hypothesize thanks to JazzPup's social media activity. JazzPup and Nitro Lord would make good friends because they're both into NSFW furry content showing adult furries interacting with little furries wearing diapers and baby clothes. JazzPup is a 31-year-old divulging in furry diaper content who requests to be treated like a little girl and owns a website called Little Sister's Room, according to the vid and doc. So allegedly, FreeDraw's owner's girlfriend, who enjoys NSFW furry diaper content and likes being treated like a little girl, is the one handling all of FreeDraw's reports and appeals. There appears to be a high level of degeneracy with Reselim's girlfriend, who she lives with, that could have poisoned her mind and led to these changes. To me, this sounds like a classic case of desensitization to NSFW content from high exposure to extremely bizarre and degenerate forms of it. That desensitization and degeneracy could very likely explain their efforts to lighten moderation against NSFW content. I also wonder if Reselim's girlfriend liking furry baby content has anything to do with her leniency towards predators and all of the other actions she's taking. If you want my opinion, I think Reselim is incapable of owning a freeform content drawing game on a platform inhabited with millions of children. In all honesty, I think her and Jazzpup shouldn't even be allowed on Roblox based on what I've seen. Reselim and Jazzpup lightening up on moderating the most dangerous of users is inexcusable, and I think would warrant account termination and game deletion. Roblox is probably not going to do either, and there's really nothing we can do outside of formulating our own opinions and choosing whether or not to play the game. What I've seen here is enough for me to permanently stay away from the game, and I suggest you maybe share this with others. For all those watching, if you are in charge of a game or a community, make sure you keep those in it safe from dangerous individuals. Don't let your mind be twisted by NSFW content, and don't keep contact with weirdos and predators. Keep yourself and those around you safe from the internet's hazards for the betterment of yourself, others, and those in your futures.